November 14th, 1983, William Afton's youngest child finds themselves alone in the parts and service room of Fredbear's family diner. This isn't unusual for him. He spends every evening there after school. However, today is special. Today is the boy's birthday.
What you doing? Why are you hiding? It's your birthday, my boy. All your friends are here to see you. Is everything alright, bud? Look, I know it's not the most inventive place to throw your party, seeing as you're with us here after school every day anyway. But there's a great turnout for you. We've invited your whole class. We closed the place just for you. We decorated Arcade Alley and Prize Corner, and I asked Chef John to double the batter of the Freddy's chocolate fudge cake, so it's gonna be enormous.
They scare me.
What do you mean? Fredbear and Bonnie? Well, what's wrong with them? They're running so well now. I spent months tweaking the movement on them to get them to move as smoothly as they do. New servos, new skins. I even got the new hydraulic jaw for Freddy. That was ordered express from Aaron in Florida. Cost a small fortune, mind you.
The establishment's animatronics, Fredbear and Spring Bonnie, terrify the young child, yet his father's attention is focused on his creations and their recent upgrades, showing little sensitivity to his son's fear. If anything, he seems sort of hurt by the notion that his son finds his creations scary. I mean, all of the other kids loved them. What could anyone possibly have to fear from—
You should go and enjoy your party. I've got to set the next show up. Go, have a bite to eat. I'll catch up with you.
Was that the bite of 87?
Tragically though, the crying child had been bitten by Fredbear before he could subscribe to Theft King, and thus he hated puppies and kittens. You don't hate puppies and kittens, do you? Subscribe to Theft King, unless you hate puppies and kittens. Fredbear's family diner is a wreck, a literal crime scene. 1 minute after midnight though. As the stage spins to life, so does Fredbear. As the animatronic awakens for the first time, he finds himself still covered in the blood of his first victim from earlier that day. Turning, he sees Spring Bonnie beside him and tries to get the bunny's attention. However, Bonnie remains motionless, which seems to upset Fredbear. It would seem that only Fredbear, the perpetrator of the bite of 83, has awakened. Bonnie still lies dormant. However, the animatronic bear is suddenly distracted by something moving in the distance. While the company's later creations would freely roam the pizzerias in which they were installed, the animatronics at Fredbear's were far more primitive. They were bolted to the stage and couldn't actually move anywhere. Thus, Fredbear found himself immobilized, unable to leave the stage. The man flees and cuts the power. We all love FNAF VHS and analog horror. It's dark, gritty, realistic, and some of it looks so good that you could conceivably believe that it's actual found footage. As these animations have become trendier and more popular, the production values have grown ridiculous. With series like Baddington's FNAF and Harmony and Horror tapes, Kane Pixels and Valix's Backrooms videos, and more, this stuff is getting really impressive. It's no surprise that the aforementioned Kane Pixels is allegedly working on a movie. In light of these trends, it's refreshing to see that some people are moving in the opposite direction, creating highly cinematic FNAF animations that don't attempt to be photorealistic. Unlike the countless VHS series, this isn't found footage. There's no guy holding a camcorder in any of these scenes. These are just animations. Obviously, this limits the realism to some degree, but I think these videos more than make up for it by being so stylish. There are so many cinematic techniques that just aren't possible when every shot needs to be captured on an actual camcorder that's plausibly sitting in the scene somewhere, and it allows these animators to really stretch their legs and produce really striking stuff that just doesn't work in a found footage VHS series. These animations are from Jake Ryan Southgate, who I'm pretty sure is a professional animator. This is just so next level compared to the amateur stuff that we usually see. It's certainly light years ahead of anything I've made. Furthermore, Jake was posting university animation projects 8 years ago, so the timeline adds up. With FNAF VHS becoming so popular, these days 99% of the non-VHS FNAF animations are SFM music videos, and while many of those are incredibly impressive, it's refreshing to see a more narrative-driven approach. Until now, all we've really had was J Gems The Interviewed, which is awesome, but it's just one series.
I understand your anger, but
if you did, you wouldn't be killing him so soon.
While the bite of 83 would lead to Fredbear's possession and the countless subsequent tragedies surrounding the pizzeria, at the same time, there was another tragedy unfolding in the mind of the youngest Afton child. The boy awakens in their bedroom, flashlight in hand. Their head is fine. It's like the accident at their birthday party never happened. They turn to their Fredbear plush and shine their flashlight on it, failing to recognize that something isn't quite right about its shadow. Approaching the door, the child peeks into the hallway. They move to the other door, checking for Freddles along the way. However, as they approach the east hallway, unfortunately, just as the coast seems clear, the worst possible sound rings out. While the child's back was turned, something entered their bedroom, stowing away inside the closet. With Nightmare Foxy dealt with, the child goes to check the west hallway once again. In the darkness, a new threat makes their first appearance. However, as the night wears on, the nightmarish animatronics become more and more aggressive, and the child begins to get overwhelmed. Fleeing from their pursuers, the youngest Afton child finds that the space behind their bed extends far longer than it should, disappearing into the darkness. However, he has no choice. He runs. Of course, none of this was real. Like all of the nights in FNAF 4, what we just witnessed was simply a nightmare that the youngest Afton child experienced as he lay dying in the hospital. Unfortunately, this would only be the start of their nightmares, and with so many threats coming at the child from every angle, it was easy to forget about the freckles on his bed. On another night, the child approached the West Hall to check for Bonnie, but he just couldn't tell whether or not the animatronic was there. Fortunately, when Chica came down the other hall, he saw her coming. Holding the door closed, the child scans the bedroom for threats until they're sure that Chica has left. Foxy had a habit of slipping into the closet when they least expected it, but even then, as long as the child remembered to close the closet door on him before he attacked, the robotic fox would transform into a harmless plush. After falling to the animatronics countless times across these endless nightmares, the youngest Afton eventually grew sort of accustomed to it, and soon he was able to handle all of his assailants without difficulty. That is, until one strange night when the child found themselves alone. No one was coming after him. No Freddy, no Foxy, no Bonnie, and no Chica. Had he done it? Had he finally conquered the creatures responsible for his constant torment? We've seen VHS creators experiment with more surreal, dreamlike adaptations of FNAF 4. In particular, the dreamscape stuff in Magic's tapes is quite trippy. However, the Nick of Time's Bad Dream manages to achieve the same sort of strange, unconscious feeling without relying on anything too overtly psychedelic. The way the animatronics stalk the child, the way they appear and disappear at will, and the way that impossible scenarios like the room stretching into the darkness are just accepted. It really feels like a dream. Of course, Afton's child wasn't the only victim that fateful night in 1983. His business partner Henry Emily's daughter Charlie had also passed away the very same night, her soul going on to possess the puppet that set in motion the events that would lead to Afton's downfall.
No, Michael! Michael! I want the door! Michael! No! Ah!
However, years later, Charlie had given up hope. Distraught at her inability to prevent Afton from returning time and time again, she lay dormant in an alley, simply wasting away, waiting around for a death that would never come. Little did Charlie know, though, not everyone had forgotten about her. Her father, Henry Emily, had returned to Hurricane to set things right. Establishing a small underground workshop, the disgraced co-founder of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza constructs the final animatronic he would build in his life. As Charlie sat listlessly in the alley, a billboard in the distance caught her attention. Freddy Fazbear's Pizza was back. At some point in the past, perhaps this would have invigorated her. After all, she had worked with Michael Afton years prior to put an end to his father back at Fazbear's Fright, but somehow he was back. She knew it. Her countless attempts to foil the man had all failed. Why would this time be any different? Resigned to her fate, Charlie obscures her view of the billboard, not wanting to think about it. However, at that moment, an animatronic unfamiliar to her appears. Emerging from the bear's chest is a green wristband, the very same wristbands that the puppet she now possessed used to keep track of the children at Fredbear's family diner. The same wristband Charlie wore the night she died. Intrigued, Charlie approaches the bear to take a hold of the wristband when...
It's a trap!
Henry knew his daughter was still out there, damned to walk the earth eternally as a creepy puppet thing. Thus, he built Lefty, an animatronic designed to lure Charlie in and capture her.
My daughter, if you can hear me, be still. I am nearby.
From there, Lefty would travel to the FNAF 6 location where Michael would find him and ultimately put an end to them all. They would finally have a much-deserved rest, save for Afton, who would burn for eternity.
So don't keep the devil waiting, old friend.
The final non-VHS FNAF animation I wanted to go over is The Storm, which is also by The Nick of Time. Unlike nearly all FNAF animations, this is an adaptation of the books, specifically the Twisted ones. In the book, the titular Twisted animatronics are first hinted at when the characters come across a sealed room in an abandoned house. It's obvious that the robots came from here, but the book never actually describes how they escaped. The Nick of Time attempts to fill in these gaps with the following animation depicting the Twisted animatronics rising from the dirt. In the book, when the characters finally come upon the house, they find that Foxy is still there, half of his body having been trapped in the soil. This is why we see Foxy struggling to escape and being left behind by the others. He never made it out. As his former comrades coldly left him to rot, Foxy shouts out in anguish. These non-VHS, non-analog horror FNAF animators are doing some seriously next-level stuff, and I think it deserves just as much attention as the big VHS creators do. The Nick of Time releases new FNAF content semi-regularly, so you definitely want to follow them, but Jake Ryan Southgate only just started their Juniors-inspired FNAF series recently, so definitely head to their channel and subscribe, because you're going to want to see these as they come out. Anyway, thanks for watching.
It's just like a